All right, what's up, everybody? Sam Callahan of Callahan Training Group here. I'm going to do a little short form video. I don't normally love talking to the screen like this. I love what I do, love teaching. I'm staring at an iMac in a quiet house right now, so it doesn't exactly make me feel like when I'm teaching on the range. That said, I get a lot of messages in this off season about like dry fire tips, what to do, how to do it, how to fix this, how to fix that. And as much as I put some stories up, as much as I put some videos up, it's hard to cover a couple of these little topics unless I really focus on them. So I figured I'd do this short little focus video, probably be like a 10-minute video if I had to guess. I'll try to keep it at 10 minutes. I'm good at talking longer than that. I even have some notes so that I don't go crazy here. So really what this video is all about, it's really simplest way to put it is just like what tools, tips, tricks do I use for dry fire? How do I optimize my dry fire in the off season? I do have a podcast, like a longer form version, but this is a little bit more direct, right to the point, something you can go do right now. First and foremost, dry fire is like if somebody's gonna say what's the secret, it's always dry fire. If you're gonna ask how JJ does it, how this guy, how that guy, how all the great guys, the one thing they're all gonna agree on is I dry fire every day. I dry fire every day without exception. And then there starts the question. Well, I'm going to dry fire every day. How much? How long? What do I dry fire? Well, 15 minutes a day, every day is in non-negotiable. There's some of us in like the fitness world that we have our non-negotiables where even if I don't go to the gym, I'm still going to do like 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups every day, 15 minutes a day is a non-negotiable. Whether it's the last thing I do before bed, sometime between other things, even if I wasn't planning on it, I don't have a good chunk of time to do it, I don't care. 15 minutes a day is non-negotiable. And then I kind of say per session, 30 minutes per session is long enough. Because any longer than that, your eyes are starting to fatigue, your grip will start to fatigue. And I make the joke that I'd rather you practice like 20, 30 minutes a day, like 3 times a day, than try to do it for an hour, hour and a half at a time. Mainly because you're practicing for way longer than your eyes and brain are capable of doing the sharp job we're asking them to do. This isn't like the gym. We're just doing reps mindlessly. Focused reps mindlessly is it's not going to get you what you want. It's not a one-to-one comparison. So what I would recommend is like 15, 30 minutes a day, twice a day if you're getting ambitious. No more than that for two reasons. The first reason I just mentioned, I kind of make this analogy. Let's say you go to a world shoot, 30 stages. Normally shoot that over 3, 4 days, but let's say you're going to shoot 30 stages in one day. And let's say every stage is 30 seconds long. That's not going to happen. That's way longer. That's 15 minutes of shooting. That's it. That's only 15 minutes of shooting for a world shoot for 30 stages. It's like golf. The better you get, the less time you do it. So don't try to dry fire for 30, 40, 50 minutes if it's just in the effort of doing it. Now, if you're focused and time is kind of slipping away because you're killing it or you're really learning, don't just put a 20-minute timer on and stop because the timer says to stop. Work until you start to feel that eye and vision fatigue. Start calling it once your grip and your forearms and things start feeling not perfect, right? Not great. And hey, it should push till 15 minutes. If you can go 45 minutes, great, good for you. But don't think there is a time limit. Really, I say 15, 30 minutes because somewhere in there, if you're doing your job, you should get tired. Now, I say doing your job in a very specific way because this is 15 to 30 minutes of a focused, concentrated effort. This is not you doing a rep and then you eating a sandwich and like you doing a couple reps and then you talking on the phone or posting on Instagram. If you're filming it, fine. Film it the entire time or film it in a bunch of chunks, drill by drill. You're not editing and posting while you're dry firing. I know that sounds silly, but you're focusing for 15 minutes. You're not watching TV, dry fire, TV, dry fire. You're not doing any of that. If you want to listen to music, a lot of people like I like to listen to music and jam out while I dry fire, but it's just in an effort to keep me focused on what I'm doing. Is music almost helps shut my lizard brain off and stops me from like ADDing off. I only can think of too many things or a couple things at once. And if I'm dry firing, that's one thing. And the music kind of keeps my brain quiet otherwise. I don't go wandering off because this is discipline. It is hard to just sit in your house and dry fire. I mean, you could not. It's easier to always not. And I've got fancier, funner things to do. I've got kids that demand a lot more attention than dry fire. So 15, 30 minutes at a time, focused, do not break. Like, don't stop doing what you're doing. Now, here's where I change a lot of people's attitudes. I don't want you to try to work on everything all at once because I will use the gym analogy. I know it's not a one-to-one analogy, but you don't go to the gym and work every muscle group every single day. It's not how it works. It's not, nobody's capable of managing that much at once. And even if you are, you're going to get a lot less out of each of those subjects if you're trying to focus all at once each day. So you're going to get like 10% out of each subject instead of getting a lot out of each subject each day. So the subjects for me, I like to talk about, like well, first let me say it like this. I know if I have one focus, if I'm going to work on vision today, grip today, reloads today, whatever it is, I know I have a primary focus, but I understand this is a multifaceted sport where for me to get my vision, I must have grip, right? For me to do a reload, I must acquire a grip. So I know it's multifaceted. So I'm going to try to limit those other facets. I'm going to try to limit those other things in my drills to really focus on my subject at hand. So good example is like, hey, if I'm going to do, I have it written down here. Like if I'm going to do reloads that day, instead of having a bunch of other things to worry about, I'm going to start on a target. I'm going to start by doing my reload on a cue, probably on a beep. I'm going to pull the trigger on the beep because that's how a reload is initiated after a shot. So on a beep, I'm going to pull a trigger. I'm going to do my reload. I'm going to return back to that target. And I'm just going to, we'll call that like warm-up reps. If I could do 10 reps just like that, then I'm going to start reloading to another target. I'm going to start adding another step. But in my opinion, that's the base layer. And I don't want to work on a whole lot of other facets. I want to work on that one facet. Now that gives me the opportunity, like I said, the facet we're working on is reload, but the other things in there are important to work on. Like let's just say big part of reloads is the timing of your vision. So if I'm trying to do a reload and a draw and all these things on top of each other, you're going to remember a lot less than if I just start with my eyes focused on a spot. On the beep, I call my shot, I see my magwell, and the moment I see the bullets enter magwell, I go back to that spot. Can I do that? Yes or no? Easy question. Yes or no? If you could do that, you start to add the other facets, right? I'm going to look to my magwell and I'm going to look to another target. I'm going to add a step into that, right? I'm going to do some randomization training, but I'm really just focusing on reloads. If I'm going to work on vision one day, I'm just going to start low ready on the target and just start working. Hey, I'm going to start calling shots based on my vision as soon as I see it. So I'm going to assume I start with a good grip. I'm going to do my job of not changing that grip. And I know there's a couple other things that go in there, grip and shot calling, but I'm really just going to be able to focus on my vision. And that allows me to stay focused and concentrated for that 15, 20 minutes I was talking about without jumping all over the place and doing like 46 different drills. Another like good example of what I'm talking about is if I want to work on, say, what did I put here? Grip. If I wanted to work on my grip specifically. Now, grip pertaining to what? Like pertaining to be able to run arrays and call shots. So I know my grip will be the focus of this drill. I'm going to have to use my eyes. I'm going to have to do transitions and other things like that. So what I'll tend to do is I'll start on target with a perfect grip, right? And I'll set a long par time over a bunch of targets, or I'll do a longer array like designated target, something that includes like 14, 16, 18 shots. I'm going to start with a perfect grip. I'm going to run the drill as prescribed. And at the end of the drill, instead of just pulling the gun away and ending the rep, I'm going to assess my grip. I'm going to say, well, I started with a perfect grip. Ba 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 beep. Did I end with a perfect grip? If not, what do I need to change to fix it to feel like it did to start? And then I'm going to make that my focus on the next rep and make that the focus on the next grip. So instead of focusing on, did I get a perfect grip? Draw, blah, 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 back to holster. How was my grip? I think it was okay. You don't really know. You're trying to remember some old nonsense, right? Hey, just focus on your grip. Now you're going to have to use your vision to run that drill. You're going to have to do some mental work to remember the designated target array that you prescribed for that drill. But your focus is going to be, I started with a good grip. Did I end with a good grip? Now, there's a bunch of things you could work on in here, like singularly vision, grip, shot calling, reloads. Like I just draw. If you're just going to do a draw, right, you could just focus on the different draws, not just stand there and nail your low ready at 0.8. Can I do a low ready draw? Can I accomplish the same grip and finish at a high ready? Can I do a turn and draw? And then I put it in one of my previous videos. I call it the clock drill. If I stand in the middle of an imaginary clock, can I draw and step towards 12, 1, 2, and all the way around the clock? Can I step in basically random directions and complete my draw within a step or two? Same thing with the reloads, right? Pretty simple, easy focuses, but now we're starting to get to the point where, okay, I can focus on each one of these topics, and I have each one of these topics what I think nailed. How do I test it? Well, this is where I'll actually say there's exceptions to these focus days where like I might focus on one thing. Now, when I say this, I'm still going to focus for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm not going to break my focus, but my focus isn't going to be just doing draws or just doing reloads. There are days where I'm going to say, hey, I want to put it all together. I've been working on my draw, I've been working on my reloads, been working on my shot calling, my transition, my vision. I've been doing all these things that Sam told me to do. Let me see how it's going. So what I would say is set up a classifier. Now, what's cool is you can throw on like what is it? Dryfire King has some classifiers on it, so you could throw that on, and you could actually see, can I make the par times in Dryfire King? Pull up YouTube, let him give you a start beep, see if you could beat the end beep basically, and see where you're at. And you'll start to put all the things together. You'll start to say, okay, today my focus is not really pushing speed. What I'm going to do is see if through all my work and all these dry fire sessions leading up to this, did I make these skills subconscious enough that I could just look at that target? I can call a shot, transition, call a shot, reload, and do all those things, right? Now, oftentimes the answer is no, by the way, because that's how this sport works. It's not just an A to B, I figured things out. Sometimes you dry firing and you're like, man, I'm trying to do, for example, I'm running El Presidente, right? I got to do a turn and draw, bop, 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 reload, bop, 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 bop. Cool. Well, I'm noticing that I can make the par time on the draw. I can do the par time every time in dry fire in the draw. My transitions are no problem. When I go to run El Presidente, it's the reload that's tripping me up. That's the only reason. So that this kind of put it all together day, instead of just battling El Presidente and learning how to beat El Presidente like it's its own thing, you're going to take all your dry fire, you're going to put it together using El Presidente as the benchmark. You're going to use the appropriate par times, you're going to use your timer, whatever you need to do. And then you're going to say, well, what's the lowest hanging fruit keeping me from achieving that part time? And I'm going to make that the next thing I'm going to work on. Probably tomorrow. I'm not going to do all this dry fire work and then break it down because it'll probably take more than 30 minutes. But you're going to work on all these individual little aspects one day a week, let's say, because we do this every day. So let's say we're going to work on one thing for 6 days. On the seventh day, you're going to put it all together. You're going to run El Presidente, you're going to run whatever classifier or a random stage with a par time that you can guesstimate about the time for, and you're going to start to assess what's the low hanging fruit within there. That'll affect your dry fire going forward the next 6 days. And then on the seventh day, you will retest again and retest again. And that's the way I like to structure my dry fire. So 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, focus, concentrated effort, whether that be on one subject or, like I said, putting it all together. I'm just not going to stop between reps. That doesn't mean rushing reps. Let me be clear. I want you to take every make ready seriously, and I want you to program every drill the way you normally would program the drill if you were going to shoot a match. Like, take it all seriously. I just mean don't break between them, as in don't rest between them. This is like a gym. I don't want you to do a set of deadlifts and then go watch TV for a little bit and then come back and do more. Just give yourself a minute or two between to reset, take a breath, relax, program your eyes, shooter ready, do your make ready, stand by, and go through your reps, right? Don't break for 30 minutes, whether that be a single drill or we'll call it this combo drill. Now, what I wanted to kind of show people and talk about in this is a couple of like visual aids. I sound like a fucking teacher, like a school teacher. But I want to show like what are the tools you need. Well, I've mentioned it a bunch of times. You're going to need a timer. I have Shooter's Global Timer. I swear by this timer. It's the best timer on the market. It is the loudest, no matter what anybody says, anybody other timer. The new Shooter's Global 2 with that giant audio thing. It's if I hit this right now, you'd hear my dogs scramble in the house. It's that obnoxiously loud. Now, the cool thing about this is they have a cheaper version, a much more accessible version, and they also have an application that you could use as a timer too, that you don't need either one with you. So if you're dry firing, you could also connect these to your headphones or the app to your headphones so you're not bothering everybody in the house. If you live in an apartment or you live somewhere public, like you don't want to have beeping going off constantly. But this is a big non-negotiable. You need to start going on a beep every single time. You need to start having par times for certain things. Now, you don't need to par time everything, but I think you need to be able to get ready in a very consistent fashion every single time, hit this, stand by, and then have a very consistent reaction to the beep, right? Everything feels the same. You're not going to train at home for when I'm good and ready and then be surprised by the stimulus out there. Always work off a stimulus. Whether you work with a part-time or not is a different subject. Always start off the beep is a big deal to me. Now then, it's the next thing you need. Super fancy. This is the JV training accessories, little dry fire targets because that's a little magnet in the back and I can stick them all over my house and I can set them up wherever just like any other dry fire target. I'll just stand it up. But these are all over my fridge. These are all over everywhere. Now, funny enough, these are stuck on either side of the camera right here for my next little demo I'm about to show you guys. But boom, this is really all you need. Now, the cool thing about this, he's a OG shooter. This guy's been an open shooter who's been on the world super squad level for a long time. So he's not just hawking some products to take money from your pocket. This guy's a awesome guy. John is I've shot majors squatted with John. He's a beast of a guy. He's really cool, really nice too. He also sells, and I don't commission. He doesn't know who I am beyond I've shook his hand once or twice. So this sounds like a sales pitch. It's not. I'm just telling you what I use. He has these weighted mag inserts that this feels like a 23 round magazine now. This is no longer an empty Glock mag. This is no longer light. I got bit by that back in the past. I used to dry fire exclusively with unloaded mags, and I could never figure out why my reload sucked at a match. And yeah, what do you know? If you just use a properly weighted mag and learn the muscle memory of this, it's a lot better. So really, the other big reason I like to use this for, yeah, training reloads, but that's only like 1/6 of what I do. It's a very small percentage of what I do, frankly. What I like about this mag is it's full weight. So when I'm doing draws, transitions, and everything else, the gun feels like a fully loaded Glock with 22 round mag in it. So I'm not throwing around a really light gun because these guns are Tupperware when they're unloaded. Like this is too unloaded light of a gun. You get a false sense of how fast you are, and it shouldn't change much, but it does feel different from a loaded to unloaded gun if you're dry firing exclusively with an unloaded gun. So what are my big things? A BB to start you. This makes your gun feel real. This is something to aim at. You don't need much, right? You don't need much. Now, the reason I made this video, and I couldn't, I did this, I had a conversation with somebody online, and I wanted to make this video because I was kind of helping him through some dry fire, but this specific topic is what I wanted to hammer today. Now, if you've listened to my previous podcasts and stuff, I'm going to do something I generally don't like, and I'm going to use some college words. I'm going to use some bigger words than necessary. I'll explain why, though. So in my dry fire, I get a question all the time. How do you practice transitions? Because there's one thing I can say is I shoot a stock Glock. I don't shoot very fast splits. I have a wicked draw, and I have a wicked fast transitions. Those are the things that I know I can do very well. I can do above average, the average GM will say. So how and why do I train those things? Like, what do I do? Well, I don't squeeze triggers fast because I just never do. I shoot a Glock. I have an opinion that if I can rip 25 splits, anything better than that is gravy, and I'd rather focus on other things. So I focus on the draw transitions. I focus on doing things as soon as possible, and getting the gun onto target sooner is really my main focus. So what I started to do one winter, was because it was off season and I was unhappy with my performance previous. I was stuck in masterclass. So I shot masterclass for 2 seasons and it bummed me out because normally every season I bumped up leading up till there. It's like, all right, well, what do I need to do? Well, I wanted to shoot faster, and speed of sight is the big key word that I always like to say. I want to shoot as fast as I can see and perceive. Any faster than that means I'm risking shots. Any slower than that is slower than necessary. What's funny is slower than that just sometimes is comfortable. Sometimes the speed of sight is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. So I needed to add that to my dry fire to make it comfortable. Through many, many, many reps, I will make the speed of sight comfortable. I will be able to shoot as soon as I see the dot appropriately on the target I need. So what I started to do is say dot, quote unquote, say dot. That was my drill, and that's what I was doing. I thought I invented something. What I started to do is, just so I'll reiterate, I have those targets I was talking about. I have them stuck to either side of my computer here. So camera in the center, target over here, target over here. What I started to do was start low ready because my focus here was shooting at the speed of sight. So I assumed a good grip to start. I locked on that very specific spot I want to be seeing in a target. And all I did, as fast as I can move my body, I would say dot, dot, as soon as I had a callable shot. As soon as I would be comfortable taking that shot, I can tell you that shot was good, I'd say the word dot. That's it. That's all. So it looked like this. Looking at my spot, dot. Dot. Now, obviously, I would be reacting to a beep. I just don't want to upset you guys, my dogs, right now. So let's say there's a imaginary beep, dot, beep, dot. Now, why did I like to do this? Well, I started to dive into the mental side of things. And first of all, going off the beep, so you're reacting to the beep, there's going to be a certain amount of time there. What I started to, we'll say, assume, and I tested this and it ended up being correct, for me to say dot, it takes the same amount of time for me to pull a trigger at a 7-yard open target. Right? So let's say our double target, right? The target everybody's comfortable doubling at. Well, for me to just go dot took me about 0.2 to react, take me about 0.2 to come up and actually call the shot. So I just got comfortable doing that. Was that fast at first? It was insane at first. It felt like I was just waving red dot and like waving my gun at the target. But without squeezing my trigger, by just focusing on that spot and just saying dot, dot, I ended up picking up that low ready up to an alpha to like 34, 38. And go try that. That doesn't sound crazy, but that's as fast as I can get it while actually being accountable for my sight picture. I could get lucky and squeeze one off like a cowboy action guy, but I'm telling you, I learned through NLP to reliably see my sight picture within a quarter second of it coming into my sight, in my vision, into my peripheral, right? So that was a pretty big deal to me. It allowed me to draw a lot faster, not in that it made my draw faster. My draw is physically pretty fast. I have fast hands. I'm blessed with being like a twitchy dude. The blessing was now I learned to see and be comfortable as soon as I see that red ripping that shot off. And now I can get into 68s to 75s pretty comfortable on a 7-yard open target on a draw. I can get an alpha every time and I can see it. So NLP was a big deal. Now, what I then started to add to this was, well, let me use it to call shots, basically. Let me start to add more sight pictures and more things into this drill. So what I would do is I have a target over here and I have a target over here. I have a piece of paper over here and I have a popper over here. So what I was learning to do is just come up and say dot, dot, dot. I'm saying dot twice because I'm going to take 2 shots at that target. When I'm finished saying the T in the second shot, that's like calling the second shot to me. And the moment I say dot, dot, my eyes leave here and I say dot when the next shot is acceptable. So what am I doing? I'm speaking out loud the proper sight picture. I'm basically calling it as soon as I see it. So it would look like this. I'd start low, ready, dot, 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 dot. So what this does is it makes you pick a very tight spot. It makes you react as soon as you see a sight picture and actually be mentally and visually very accountable for what you're seeing and when you're doing it, like the timing of things. At what speed? I don't know. I'm not pulling the trigger. I'm doing things at the speed of sight, guaranteed though, right? And then you could start to add this to bigger arrays. And what I would end up doing this to is huge arrays, like designated target, but I would do it over and over and over again. I'd set like a 30-second par time. And I'd just be like, all right, dot, 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 etc. for 30 seconds. And I basically wear my eyes out. It would be tiring mentally by the end of it, not pulling a trigger, right? If I have grip work that I can't pull the trigger as soon as I see the dot, well, I'm going to go and work on that in doubles. I'm going to work on that separately. This is vision and mental work. And this allowed me to shoot way sooner, thus getting much faster scores almost immediately through a winter of training anyway. I don't want to say immediately. This isn't like a pill that you're going to take and tomorrow will be faster. But what I did notice is when I dry fire like this, or when I pre-program stages, pre-program drills like this, when you're just finger gunning before you shoot a classifier, dot, 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 it really helps me set a pace. So in live fire, it helps too, because I'm going to do everything that's not shooting as physically as fast and hard as I possibly can. But when it comes to the speed of sight stuff, now I know how to react. So not only is it getting me good at speed of sight and calling the shots, what it started to force me to do was, okay, that's the spot I'd like to shoot. I'm going to shoot at the speed of sight. But what's the appropriate sight picture? So I started to pre-envision, hey, slash a red for this open target. I better see a still dot before I call a shot on that target. Cool. It stopped me from thinking about speed. It started me thinking about a spot and what I'd like to see, pull the trigger when I see it. I call that timing instead of time. Like you're thinking about, I will do this when I see that instead of thinking about at what speed. Very helpful for performance. But this NLP secret helped me get faster immediately because it also, when you get used to this, it doesn't feel crazy. It doesn't feel fast. And then you end up shooting stages that you saw everything out there. I saw every bit of my dot for every piece of that stage, and that'll still be your fastest time. And it's like mind blowing. It really is. It like confuses people. So this NLP little secret, it's not a secret. Now I called it say dot. That was my drill. Say dot. Say dot. I just want you to say dot. Dot, dot, dot. Dot, dot, dot. I thought I discovered something. And JJ was coming out to teach at my range. And I went and I explained it to him. And he let me, he's a polite guy, so he let me get this excited, like, I figured this, blah, 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 blah. And he very calmly goes, yeah, that's called neurolinguistic programming. I go, oh, I didn't make it up. He goes, no, you didn't make it up. Like, that's something that we've been doing for a long time. And I say we as in, like, maybe not every shooter, but humans, very specifically, like, Olympians and high-functioning athletes use NLP deeply. Have you ever seen a race car driver sit and be able to describe to you when and where he's going to make turns and decisions on a track? It's pretty amazing, right? He has no idea where his speedometer is. What he's done is he's pre-walked this track like we pre-walk a stage. He's pre-designated some mental cues that will cue him to do something that he's subconsciously already locked in through his dry fire and training. And he's going to drive that track as fast as he can have those thoughts. How fast is that? I don't know. But he's going to sit there and program, okay, at this turn I'll do this, at this turn I'll do this, at this turn I'll do this, I'll shift here, I'll do this, I'll do this. Olympians do it, race car drivers do it. Turns out we could use it pretty well. It works pretty well for what we do. So go try this out at your next stage, at your next match. Pick a stage, walk the stage, get your stage plan. And then I want you to walk the next stage plan, looking for your spot, saying dot as soon as the appropriate sight picture comes in. Now, we're dry firing, we're walking a stage. How do I do that? I call it thumbnailing. If you're occluding, if you're properly target focused, what you're going to do is you're going to walk around a stage, dot, 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 dot. As soon as my thumbnail occludes the target, but I remain focused on the target, dot, 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 I can set my pace. I can start to mentally and visually rehearse what I'd like to see and react to the proper speed, not a prescribed speed, not a real fast, not a slow speed, not careful, not act. You know what I mean? You're just going to say, all right, dot, 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 dot. I'm going to, first of all, pick my target order. Second of all, designate those spots. And then I'm going to rehearse them at the speed of sight. I'm going to NLP that stage. And if I do that correctly, you're going to walk through that stage. You're going to see every shot called. And it's still going to be the best time and the best accuracy that you could probably pull out of yourself. And I challenge you, do it, and then run a stage another way. Run it as hard as you can, fast as you can, right? And then I want you to run it another time. I'm going to shoot all alphas this time. And then I want you to just NLP it. Fuck that. I just want you to shoot at the right spot at the right timing and tell me what gets the best results. And I started to realize if I just shut my brain off, trust my training, and remember, this whole front half of this video is all the dry fire training we've done. So I'm not just shutting my brain off and doing nothing. If I shut my brain off and I trust that training and I simply go at the speed of sight, if I just NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, if I just say dot, 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 dot when I'd like to see it, I get what I want. I get what I want at the speed that I'm accountable for it, which is my training speed, not a prescribed speed, not a safe speed, right? So that's my little talk here. I think this video went longer than I'd like it to, but you see why. These topics are nuanced. Now, they're nuanced because none of this is black and white. Like, this isn't do it my way or you're doing it wrong. This is the way I do things. This is the way I think things work. There's guys out there that are going to hate what I'm saying. There's guys out there that are going to love what I'm saying. It's the way the sport works. We're all climbing the same peak from different sides. This is how I see things. This is how I got faster visually. And the question that I'm addressing in this video basically was, why are your transitions so fast? How did you do that? Well, this is how I did it. I got really fast in the draw and the transitions by getting very visually quick, visually confident. I did that by using NLP, Neurolinguistic Programming. I have pre-described what I'd like to see in my brain. When I see it, I say it. Dot, dot, dot. Dot, dot, dot. The funny thing is, pulling the trigger instead of saying dot, it's easy. It's not a big deal. It's not a huge problem. It's kind of funny how easy it is to transfer the just saying it into my trigger finger. Now, I know I'm going to see red on some targets and dot on some other targets. So really, in my world, like, let's say I'm going to shoot two close targets and a really far popper. What I want to see is red, 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 dot. Why? Because that's what I programmed. I know if I see red on my spot, that's enough to pull the trigger on these two easy targets. Red, 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 dot, pop. Boom. And I shot it at the right speed. Why? Because my vision was there. The sight pictures were there that I was ready for. Now, I'm not going to shoot at prescribed speed because my sight picture is not there. I'm not going to pull a fast Charlie or a fast Delta. I'm going to earn the sight pictures. Now, I'm also not going to shoot a prescribed cadence because, hey, sometimes you see it faster, sometimes you see it slow. I'm going to shoot at the speed of sight. So that's my little spiel on this. Now, what I'm messing with right now is just the Gen 6, and it turns out that I actually am enjoying this more than I thought I would. Even with the beaver tail, I haven't taken the beaver tail off because I like just running them stock. Still the stock trigger that comes with it. I'm able to reload this a little bit faster, I think, just because of the ergonomics of this. I'm able to reload this a little bit more aggressively than my other gun, my Gen 5s. I like the flat trigger. It's a little mushy is all. It'll clean up with more dry fire, but this is what I'm doing this all with. So I'm not doing this all with a and I'm not talking shit when I say this. I'm not doing it all with a $7,000 2011 and just telling you how I figured out how to drive a race car. I'm doing this with a carry/duty gun. I literally will shoot this at a competition, shoot this at my match, load it with hollow points and put it in my pants and walk home with it. Like it's just who I am. So this is how I learned it all. By the way, if you could do it all on this, it works really well on those other fancy guns. I can't say the same is true backwards, but any other questions, comments, concerns about this? I'd love to talk about it because this stuff like endlessly fascinates me. The data of it and like the nuance of it fascinates me because this is what works for me. There's other people that have other things that work for them. And while I might not use their techniques, I don't disagree with them. Some people are fast, some people are slow naturally. Some people are good visually, some people aren't good visually. You know what I'm saying? So this is what works for me. This is who I am. Again, any questions, comments, concerns, you can hit me up here. If you want to see any more of these videos, like on a focused topic, hit me up. Let me know. I love talking about this stuff. I have a couple more planned before the season really kicks off, but looks like we're going to get another 4 inches of snow this weekend. So I think I got another month before the season actually starts. So. But as I always like to say at the end of my videos, thank you for sticking with me. Don't forget to dry fire. Have a good one.